Hey there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have a small story here regarding Harry Potter news. It looks like esteemed director David Fincher met with Warner Brothers in the past to potentially direct the first Harry Potter movie, and well, he wanted to do a more kind of darker, kind of creepier spin on the first movie. Ultimately it was rejected, but let's jump into this news and break down this information and see what potentially could have happened with that first Harry Potter movie. So this information comes to us from screenrant.com. So David Fincher pitched a creepier version of Harry Potter, quote, "I just don't want to do a clean Hollywood version." So I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who would have loved to have done their own spin, their own take on the Harry Potter franchise, whether they changed it, whether they made it more comedic, creepier, horror. There's so many different avenues you could go with the material in the Harry Potter franchise, but Warner Brothers, they're very protective of what's happening with the Harry Potter franchise, and they want it to be more family-friendly, orientated, so I can completely understand why they turned down David Fincher and didn't want to go the more creepy kind of horror aesthetic route. And let's jump in and break down this information anyway and see what happened. So David Fincher reveals that he pitched a creepier version of the Harry Potter movies. Chris Columbus was ultimately chosen to direct the adaptation of the first Harry Potter book and went on to direct Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets as well. I love those first two movies. I mean, they're absolute classics now, and we're getting it rebooted pretty damn soon in this new HBO Harry Potter series, which I'm very, very excited about. The more faithful adaptation to the books, so we'll have to wait to see what they do with this series. However, many well-known directors were considered to helm the movie adaptation of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, including Steven Spielberg, M. Night Shyamalan. Do you know what? M. Night Shyamalan Harry Potter movie. That would be an interesting concept. Rob Reiner, Terry Gilliam, Tim Robbins, Fincher, who had already directed Seven, Fight Club, and at that point in his career was also considered. So while speaking with Variety, Fincher explained that he was invited by Warner Brothers to pitch his creative version of Harry Potter. He recalls how he emphasized that he did not want to do a clean Hollywood version of it, and wanted to do a movie to be reminiscent of the 1987 dark comedy film With Nell and I. So for those of you who may not have seen that movie, who aren't familiar with what the 1987 dark comedy film With Nell and I is about, if we go over to IMDb here and we check out the small kind of description of what the movie is about, in 1969, two substance-abusing, unemployed actors retreat to a countryside for a holiday that proves disastrous. So it sounds like a very dark, very comedic type of movie, and it sounds like that's what David Fincher wanted to do with the first Harry Potter movie. Put that kind of dark, comedic, creepy, kind of funny spin that the director's known for, but he wanted to inject that into the Harry Potter franchise. And I can completely understand why Warner Brothers would feel that it's too edgy, it's too kind of niche to kind of try to put that kind of tone onto the Harry Potter franchise. Ultimately, they turned down David Fincher's, wanting to do that, which was absolutely the right decision. So, where are we? Reminiscent of the comedy film With Nell and I, Warner Brothers was not receptive to the idea and explained that they wanted the adaptation to be more traditional. Check out Fincher's comments below. So this is what the director had to say. "I was asked to come in and talk to them about how I would do Harry Potter. I remember saying, I just don't want to do a clean Hollywood version of it. I want to do something that's a little bit more like With Nell and I, which we just looked at, that kind of dark comedic movie, and I want it to be kind of creepy. They were like, we want Thom Brown School Days by way of Oliver." And if we take a quick look here at the description for Thom Brown School Days, we can see here that it is a bit reminiscent of the Harry Potter franchise. The early chapters of the novel deal with a childhood at his home in the Vale of White Horse. Much of the scene setting in the first chapter is deeply revealing of Victorian Britain attitudes towards society and class. Obviously, there's a lot of that which happens in the Harry Potter franchise with muggles and, wizard, whether you're wizard born or whether you're a muggle, whether you're a half-blood, all this kind of stuff. So there's a lot of comparisons between, obviously, this book here, Thom Brown's book, and obviously the Harry Potter franchise as well. Thom Brown's School Days, it's called. So, going back over to the article here, I just want to say this quickly as a correction. Where it says here, we want Thom Brown School Days, I think it's meant to say Tom Brown School Days. I think that was a bit of a spelling mistake on the writer's part there. So, we want Thom Brown School Days by the way of Oliver, which is obviously, like I said, basically a commentary on, political and societal classes, which is reminiscent of some of the stuff in Harry Potter like we just talked about. So, what this means for Harry Potter. So David Fincher's Harry Potter would have been completely different and likely less successful. Yeah, I mean, a dark, comedic, kind of creepy spin on that first movie of Harry Potter. It would have been very niche. I don't think it would have landed well with a lot of people. So going the more traditional route, obviously it's going to appeal to more people. There's already the built-in audience for the books anyway. So why would you want to deviate too much from what people expect from the source material? So, the Harry Potter movies would have been much darker and likely not as well received under Fincher's direction. While there are dark Harry Potter moments in The Sorcerer's Stone, absolutely there is. Especially when Professor Quirrell, I can never say this, Quirrell? Let me say that again. Especially when Professor Quirrell reveals that Lord Voldemort is on the back of his head. I remember seeing that for the first time, and it was like the most creepiest thing I'd ever seen. I mean, it is more fun, charming, and feel-good introduction to the Wizarding world. The story gets darker as Harry and his friends grow older, but it is not meant to start out overtly creepy or as darkly humorous. Yeah, I mean, could you even imagine what David Fincher would have done with that scene or something around that scene? Like making it even more darker, making it even more creepier than it already was. I just don't know how that would have looked. And ultimately, like I keep saying, a David Fincher Harry Potter movie, it probably would have been a good movie, don't get me wrong. But it would have been a lot more niche. A lot more people wouldn't have liked it as much as the more traditional route that they went with. Ultimately, Warner Brothers made a good decision there, I think. So much of the Harry Potter movies' appeal and success is that they were the coming-of-age stories that were family-friendly and accessible for children. I mean, that's the whole thing, isn't it? I mean, you know, there's millions of fans of Harry Potter all around the world, but like taking your kids, family, it's like a family event when one of these movies come out. You take your kids, it doesn't matter how old your kids are, whether they're, 3 or 4, whether they're 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's something enjoyable here for all kids of all ages. And if they had gone the more darker route, creepier route, then the younger kids would have been lost. Kids would have been freaked out. Their parents wouldn't have wanted to take them. So the box office would have, declined massively, I think. So this would not have been the case if Fincher's more subversive take on the source material came to fruition. The first Harry Potter movie's box office and overall reception would probably have been far worse. With these negative results potentially even jeopardizing the opportunity to adapt the rest of the Harry Potter books. Yeah, could you even imagine a David Fincher, the first Harry Potter movie comes out, it's creepy, it's a little bit chilling, it's a little bit niche, it puts people off, it fails at the box office, and ultimately they don't end up making the rest of the films, and that Harry Potter first movie is the only movie that ever comes out. Could you even imagine if history had turned out that way? Could have been so different. But yeah, again, we're lucky that ultimately they turned down David Fincher's pitch for the movie, and ultimately we ended up with all the movies, which is, fantastic win for the fans. So, our take on David Fincher's comments. Chris Columbus becoming the director instead was a better outcome. Absolutely it was. So, while I can understand Fincher's desire to adapt Harry Potter into an unconventional way, it is best for his pitch did not move forward, and that the Columbus directed Sorcerer's Stone instead. The first Harry Potter movie would not have been as faithful to the source material or as successful with Fincher as the director. Not being chosen to direct Harry Potter was also a better outcome for Fincher, as he's better suited to directing darker standalone movies like Seven, one of the all-time classic crime thriller type movies. Check that out if you haven't seen it. Obviously, Fight Club, Brad Pitt, again another classic, and Gone Girl, which I believe has Ben Affleck. I think it has Ben Affleck. That's an incredible movie as well. So David Fincher is a very, very accredited director. But yeah, the Harry Potter franchise could have turned out in a very, very different way if David Fincher had got his way for that first Harry Potter movie. But guys, jump into the comment section. Let me know what you think about this kind of small story here about a potential that David Fincher was going to direct the first Harry Potter movie, and it was going to be creepier, darker than what we are used to. And ultimately, it could have failed the entire franchise if that first movie had come out by director David Fincher and it failed. We might not have got the rest of the movies. But ultimately, they turned it down, went with Chris Columbus, and the rest is history. We ended up with magnificent movies and plenty of them. So guys, let me know what you think about this. Jump into the comment section. I'd love to hear your thoughts, comments, and opinions on this. Is this something you think would have actually done quite well, a David Fincher Harry Potter movie? Or do you think that Warner Brothers made the absolute correct decision to turn down his pitch for a darker, creepier take on the Harry Potter franchise? Love to know your thoughts and feedback, guys, so make sure you leave it down below. As always, thank you so much for being here. Hit that like and become a subscriber of the content. If you haven't already, guys, I'd really appreciate you being here on the channel. It goes a long way to helping my channel out. And as always, I will see you in the next video.